The day started like any other day. Children went to school, workers rushed to offices, and people carried on with their normal lives. The sky above Earth was bright and clear. No one could imagine that this was the day the world would change forever. In the afternoon, strange signals began to appear on military radars. At first, commanders thought it was just an error. The signals were too large, too many, and too far beyond anything humans had seen before. But within minutes, every radar and satellite confirmed the same terrifying truth. Something massive was coming toward Earth. Then the sky began to darken. At first it looked like storm clouds, but soon the truth became clear. Shadows stretched across cities, and people looked up in confusion. High above the clouds, shapes began to appear. They were not clouds. They were ships. Huge, monstrous ships that covered the sun and blocked the light. Some were the size of mountains. Some were so large they looked endless, stretching from one horizon to the other. The world watched in shock. Phones rang across the world. News channels cut their broadcasts with breaking news. Social media filled with videos of the sky turning black. In every country, people ran outside to see the impossible. Humanity had always wondered if aliens existed. That day, the answer arrived. But it was not peaceful. The ships did not come in silence. A sound like thunder shook the skies. Energy pulses spread across the clouds, shaking windows, rattling buildings, and causing many to fall to the ground in fear. The ships were not here to talk. They were here to conquer. Governments scrambled to respond. Fighter jets were launched into the air, but their radios went dead the moment they rose above the cities. Satellites in orbit blinked out one by one. In minutes, Earth was blind, its eyes cut out by an unknown enemy. Panic began to spread through the streets. In New York, people screamed as shadows moved over skyscrapers. In Beijing, millions filled the streets, pointing their phones to the dark sky. In Paris, bells rang, not for celebration, but for warning. Humanity was facing something it had never faced before. Then a voice came. It did not come from radios or television. It came directly into the minds of every human being. A cold, sharp voice that felt like knives cutting through thought. It was not a human voice. It was alien, heavy, and merciless. The message was short. Only 3 words. Earth is ours. After that, silence returned. But the silence was worse than the voice. For in that silence, the world understood the truth. This was not a meeting. This was not a greeting. This was war. The ships began to move. Smaller craft broke off from the massive carriers, descending toward the surface like black rain. In every city, people ran in terror as glowing lights marked the landing zones. Soldiers on the ground prepared weapons, tanks rolled into the streets, and defense systems were armed. But no one knew what they were fighting against. For a moment, it felt hopeless. In a hidden bunker beneath Washington, generals shouted at screens filled with static. "We are blind," one of them said. "They've shut down everything." Another shouted, "We need to strike back now, before it's too late." But no one knew where to strike. The enemy was everywhere, above every city, every nation, every border. Humanity had never been so small. Above, the alien ships spread across the planet, blackening skies from one end of Earth to the other. Oceans reflected their shadows. Forests grew dark as if night had fallen in seconds. In deserts, animals scattered, sensing death approaching. The entire planet seemed to hold its breath. And then, the first attack began. A beam of white fire shot down from one of the ships, striking a military base in seconds. The base vanished, consumed in fire and smoke. Soldiers who had been preparing to fight never even had the chance to fire a shot. The same attack happened again, in Russia, in India, in South America. Military defenses across Earth were destroyed within minutes. The invaders wanted to make a statement. Humanity was weak. Humanity was prey. But they were wrong. In the shadows, humanity was watching. Hidden bunkers, secret laboratories, and underground facilities had prepared for this day. For years, whispers of alien threats had been dismissed as myths. But some leaders had believed. And those leaders had prepared. As cities screamed and skies burned, those preparations were waiting. Humanity was not ready to surrender. Not yet. The people of Earth stood frozen in fear as the sky stayed black and the alien fleet hung above like gods. No one knew what would happen next. But deep in the hearts of humanity, something old and dangerous stirred. Fear could not last forever. Anger would come. And when it came, the invaders would learn what it meant to face humanity's true wrath. The world was in shock after the alien fleet revealed itself and sent its cruel message. Earth was burning in silence, and the weight of fear pressed on every human heart. Governments tried to speak to their people, but every broadcast was jammed, every signal cut, leaving only fragments of desperate voices. Families huddled together inside homes, some crying, some praying, some just staring at the blackened sky as if waiting for death to fall. Soldiers stood ready, but their weapons felt useless against the massive shadows above. In cities across the globe, panic had turned into chaos. Supermarkets were stormed, cars crashed in the streets, people screamed and fought one another in blind terror. The idea that humanity was not alone in the universe had once been exciting, a dream of explorers and scientists, but now that dream had twisted into a nightmare. The aliens were not here to share knowledge. They were here to destroy and control. Humanity's fear grew darker with every passing minute. In underground command centers, military leaders argued, their voices loud with panic. Some demanded immediate nuclear strikes against the alien ships, but others warned it would do nothing, that the enemy was far beyond human weapons. The arguments grew louder until silence fell. The screens that once displayed Earth satellites were now blank, wiped out by alien interference. Humanity was blind. "We are fighting an enemy we cannot even see properly," one general whispered, his voice shaking. "How do you fight the sky itself?" In bunkers hidden across the world, scientists stared at computer models, running endless calculations, searching for weaknesses. But the truth was clear: no data, no hope, no answers. Humanity was fighting shadows. Every attempt at communication with the aliens was met with silence, except for one cold reply that came again and again: "Earth is ours." The message repeated in different languages, not spoken but forced into human minds, leaving many screaming from the pressure of the voice. Fear spread faster than fire. In New York, thousands tried to flee the city, but roads were blocked and trains stopped. In Tokyo, entire districts went dark as power grids failed under alien disruption. In Africa, villagers watched glowing ships cross the night sky like falling stars. Nowhere was safe, nowhere untouched. Yet even in the heart of fear, sparks of resistance began to appear. Soldiers swore they would not give up without a fight. Civilians formed groups to protect their families and neighborhoods. Across the world, whispers spread about humanity's hidden weapons, projects buried deep in secret bases. Many dismissed them as myths, but some held on to hope, desperate for anything to fight against despair. The aliens did not wait. Their smaller craft descended into the atmosphere, sleek and sharp, like hunting birds circling their prey. They struck at power plants, communication hubs, and weapon silos. They moved with precision, targeting Earth's strength and cutting it apart piece by piece. To the aliens, this was routine. To humanity, it was terror. Still, something strange happened. In some battles, the aliens faced stronger resistance than expected. Human soldiers, though outmatched in technology, fought with a fury that shocked the invaders. Tanks rolled through streets, firing at glowing alien machines. Fighter jets rose into the sky even though their systems malfunctioned, their pilots choosing death over surrender. Many were shot down, but their bravery inspired those who watched. The aliens had conquered countless worlds before, but they had never faced a species like this. They saw fear, yes, but also defiance. In homes, parents told their children to be brave. In bunkers, commanders swore revenge even as they lost entire armies. Across Earth, a single thought grew in the minds of humanity: survive long enough to strike back. Fear was still there, deep and heavy, but it began to change shape. It was no longer just the fear of death, but the fear of losing everything. Families, homes, the planet itself. And fear like that did not only break people. It also made them dangerous. In the dark sky, alien commanders watched human resistance and calculated their next move. To them, humanity was small, weak, primitive. Yet somewhere deep in their cold minds, a trace of doubt formed. Why did these humans fight so hard? Why did they resist even when defeat seemed certain? They did not know that humanity had secrets, weapons hidden beneath mountains, technology tested in silence, waiting for the day it would be needed. For now, the fear was real, crushing, and everywhere. But under that fear, something stronger was beginning to awaken. Humanity had been caught unprepared, blinded, and broken. But Earth was not finished. The fear would not last forever. Soon, it would turn to rage. And when it did, the invaders would regret the day they chose to attack Earth. The alien fleet hovered like a dark ceiling above Earth, their smaller warships descending into the skies of every continent, and humanity braced itself for the first true clash. Fear had gripped the planet, but fear could not stop the instinct to fight back. In New York, soldiers lined the streets with tanks and rocket launchers, their eyes fixed on the glowing crafts circling above. In London, anti-air systems tracked targets despite half their radars being jammed. In Moscow, underground bunkers prepared to launch their last missiles. Around the world, humanity's warriors, though outmatched, refused to kneel. The aliens moved with ruthless precision. Their ships glowed with strange energy, weapons humming with power beyond human understanding. One by one, they released smaller machines that flew like insects, scanning the cities, hunting military forces, and marking targets. Then, without warning, the first strike came. A beam of blue fire cut through the sky and slammed into a military base outside Berlin. The explosion turned night into day, burning everything in seconds. Soldiers who had trained their whole lives never even fired a shot. Similar strikes followed across the globe, an airbase in America, a naval fleet in the Pacific, missile silos hidden in deserts. Each was destroyed in moments, leaving only smoke and silence behind. The invaders wanted to send a message: resistance was useless. But they had underestimated humanity. In the ruins of Berlin's base, a group of surviving soldiers dragged out rocket launchers and fired at the alien craft. Most rockets exploded harmlessly against the shields, but one found a weak spot. The alien machine burst into flames and crashed into the forest. Cheers erupted from the soldiers, and the world saw it live on shaky phone videos uploaded before the signals were cut. For the first time, humanity saw that the enemy could bleed. In Washington, generals ordered the launch of fighter jets. Dozens rose into the skies, weaving between alien beams, firing missiles at impossible angles. Many were struck down, their planes falling like burning comets, but a few managed to hit their targets. One alien ship exploded over the ocean, its wreckage crashing into the waves. Humanity had made its first kill. In Tokyo, tanks rolled into the streets, their cannons aimed at the glowing alien walkers that had landed near the city. The ground shook as metal clashed with alien technology. At first, the tanks were destroyed easily, vaporized by beams of energy, but then one tank managed to fire a direct hit into the center of an alien walker, piercing its armor and sending it crashing to the ground. Civilians hiding in the buildings cheered, their fear giving way to hope. All across Earth, small victories began to appear like sparks in the darkness. The aliens had expected total submission, but instead they faced resistance unlike anything they had seen. Humanity fought with desperation, with rage, and with courage that surprised even themselves. The invaders, though advanced, now realized that Earth would not fall as easily as the others. Alien commanders analyzed the battles and grew frustrated. Their beams cut through human weapons, but the humans kept coming. Even when entire squads were wiped out, more stood up to fight. Alien strategy had always been to crush fear into silence, but humans seemed to grow stronger in fear. For every city attacked, another rose in defiance. Humanity's first strike was not about numbers or technology. It was about will. A pilot who knew he would never return dove his damaged jet directly into an alien craft, sacrificing his life to bring it down. A squad of soldiers surrounded an alien walker and planted explosives under its legs, dying as it exploded. Civilians threw Molotov cocktails at alien machines when no soldiers were nearby. Each act of defiance was small, but together they became a storm. And in that storm, the aliens felt something they had never felt before: doubt. Meanwhile, in hidden bunkers, world leaders exchanged urgent messages. Humanity's weapons were weak, but their spirit was not. And somewhere deep in the earth, secret programs that had been hidden for decades were being activated. Humanity's true strength was not yet revealed, but soon it would be. For now, the first strike was bloody, desperate, and uneven, but it proved one thing: humanity would not surrender. The skies were filled with fire, the ground burned with smoke, but in the chaos one truth became clear. This was not just the end of peace. This was the beginning of war. The invaders had made their first strike, but humanity had answered, and the wrath of Earth was only beginning to rise. The world was burning, yet humanity refused to fall. The aliens had struck with overwhelming power, destroying military bases, fleets, and entire cities with ease, but in every corner of Earth, humans fought back with stubborn defiance. To the invaders, this resistance was strange and frustrating. They had conquered countless worlds before, and none had ever fought like this. But what they did not know was that Earth carried secrets, hidden weapons created in silence, waiting for a day that many believed would never come. Decades earlier, whispers of alien threats had reached the ears of a few governments and scientists. While the world argued about politics and power, hidden projects were built in underground bunkers, deep under mountains and beneath oceans. These projects were never spoken of in public. Most people believed they were myths, stories told by conspiracy theorists. But now, as alien ships filled the skies, those myths became Earth's only hope. In a secret facility buried beneath the Rocky Mountains, alarms rang as scientists and soldiers rushed to activate a program known only as Black Dawn. For years, Black Dawn had been a forbidden project, too dangerous to test, too powerful to reveal. But now, humanity had no choice. Giant doors opened deep underground, and inside rested machines unlike anything the world had ever seen. They were weapons not powered by nuclear energy, but by something far darker: experiments in dark matter and quantum energy, technology that most scientists had sworn was impossible. Humanity had kept it hidden not out of mercy, but out of fear. If it ever escaped control, it could destroy the planet itself. Yet now, destruction was already here, and the only question was whether humans would destroy themselves or the enemy. As alien ships moved across North America, their scanners picked up strange readings beneath the mountains. Commanders dismissed it at first, believing humans too primitive to hide anything of importance. But then, the ground split open. A massive launch platform rose from the earth, glowing with unnatural light. On it stood a weapon unlike any missile the world had ever known. It was sleek, black, and pulsing with energy that bent the air around it. Soldiers stared in silence, knowing they were about to unleash something that even they barely understood. The order was given, and the weapon fired. The sky tore open with a scream as a beam of dark energy shot upward, striking one of the alien carriers directly in its center. For a moment, the ship's shields held, glowing bright, but then cracks spread like lightning across its surface. The carrier shook violently, its engines flaring, before exploding in a blast so massive that pieces of its metal rained down over hundreds of miles. The world watched in shock. Humanity had done the impossible. They had destroyed one of the invincible ships. Across the globe, news spread like fire. People who had been frozen in fear cheered, screaming in joy, their despair turning into hope. Humanity had teeth, and the aliens had just felt the first bite. In orbit, alien commanders reeled in disbelief. They had expected resistance, but not this. No primitive world should have such weapons. Their strategies faltered, their confidence shaken. They sent more ships toward the mountains, determined to crush whatever humans had hidden there. But Black Dawn was not alone. In Siberia, another hidden facility came alive. In the Pacific Ocean, doors opened beneath the waves, releasing submarines armed with weapons of terrifying design. Across the world, secret programs activated one by one, each one carrying the same goal: survival at any cost. Humanity's hidden power was awake. The battles turned. When alien warships descended over the Pacific, human submarines rose and fired torpedoes glowing with unstable energy. 2 alien destroyers fell in flames. In the deserts of Africa, hidden rail cannons launched projectiles at near light speed, piercing alien armor like paper. The invaders were no longer untouchable. Humanity was striking back, harder and faster than the aliens had expected. For the first time, the skies were filled not only with alien fire, but with human weapons that tore their enemies apart. Yet these victories came with a price. The weapons were unstable, dangerous even to those who used them. Entire teams of soldiers vanished when systems overloaded. Cities trembled as energy blasts shook the ground. Humanity's hidden power was as much a curse as it was a blessing. But no one cared. Better to risk everything than to kneel. In homes across Earth, people watched, hearts pounding, as alien ships burned and fell from the sky. Hope spread like wildfire. The fear that had crushed humanity was fading, replaced by something else: rage. The invaders had thought Earth was weak, but they were learning the truth. Earth was not weak. Earth was waiting. And now, the wrath of humanity was rising, fueled by hidden power the galaxy had never seen before. The fall of the first alien carrier changed everything. For the first time since the invasion began, the balance of fear shifted. Humanity had proved that the enemy was not invincible, that the so-called gods of the sky could bleed and burn like any other. Across the world, that single victory lit a fire in every human heart. Soldiers who had been fighting with desperation now fought with determination. Civilians who had been hiding now stepped forward to help. Entire nations, once divided by borders and politics, began to act as one. The aliens had expected fear to break humanity, but instead it had forged them together. Underground command centers buzzed with new energy. World leaders who once argued over power now spoke with one voice. Messages flew across bunkers and bases: coordinate, unite, fight back. Humanity's armies, though scattered, began to act like a single force. Strategies were shared, weapons distributed, and for the first time, humanity struck not as broken nations but as one world. The aliens felt the change immediately. Where once their fleets had destroyed bases with ease, now they met resistance on every front. In Europe, rail cannons hidden in the Alps tore through alien armor. In Asia, swarms of drones armed with experimental weapons harassed invader patrols. In Africa, soldiers used guerrilla tactics to ambush alien machines, striking fast and vanishing before the enemy could respond. Everywhere, humanity pushed back. The invaders grew frustrated. Their scanners detected strange energy signatures rising from across the planet, proof that humans were awakening more hidden weapons. They had underestimated Earth, and now they were paying the price. Alien commanders responded with fury, ordering their fleets to burn entire cities to ash. But even as cities fell, humanity refused to break. In London, when alien ships rained fire on the streets, civilians ran into the smoke not to flee but to help soldiers reload. In New Delhi, engineers worked by candlelight to repair broken weapons, even while bombs fell outside. In Sao Paulo, ordinary people armed with nothing more than rifles fought side by side with soldiers, refusing to surrender even when alien machines marched through the ruins. The invaders began to see that this war was unlike any they had fought before. They had expected weak prey, but instead they faced predators willing to fight to the last breath. Humanity's counterattacks grew bolder. From hidden bases beneath the oceans, submarines fired torpedoes that destroyed alien cruisers. From the deserts, missiles roared into the sky, striking alien carriers before they could release their landing craft. Humanity was no longer defending, it was hunting. And with every victory, the galaxy's silent watchers, far away on distant worlds, trembled. They had seen the rise of humanity, and they knew what was coming. Still, the cost of resistance was high. Entire cities were reduced to ruins. Millions were dead. Families were torn apart. But those sacrifices only added to humanity's fury. The invaders thought they were crushing hope, but instead they were fueling rage. Humanity's armies began planning something bigger than scattered attacks. For the first time, world leaders agreed to coordinate a global counterstrike. Every surviving weapon, every soldier, every secret project would be brought together for one purpose: to drive the invaders back. They called it Operation Wrath. Across the world, preparations began in silence. In the frozen wastes of Siberia, massive rail cannons were loaded with projectiles designed to pierce even the strongest alien shields. In the Pacific, hidden fleets of submarines gathered, armed with torpedoes powered by unstable dark energy. In deserts, underground hangars opened to reveal new war machines, giant walkers built in secret, their armor forged to resist alien fire. And in orbit, satellites once thought destroyed flickered back to life, controlled by underground bunkers that had survived the first strikes. Humanity was ready to unleash everything. When the day came, the world moved as one. From every continent, weapons fired. From every city, soldiers marched. From every hidden base, humanity's secret power rose. The sky lit up with beams of light and fire as missiles, cannons, and dark energy weapons struck the alien fleet. The invaders were overwhelmed. Their carriers, once untouchable, began to fall. Their war machines, once unstoppable, burned in the streets. And above it all, humanity roared, united in fury. For the first time in history, there were no borders, no divisions, no nations. There was only Earth. Humanity had struck back, and the invaders were learning what it meant to face a world that refused to die. The war was far from over, but one truth had already been written in fire and blood. Earth was not prey. Earth was a predator, and the galaxy would never forget the day humanity fought as one. The global counterattack shook the alien fleet like nothing they had ever faced before. Carriers burned in the skies, their wreckage raining down like falling stars, and smaller warships were torn apart by humanity's hidden weapons. Across Earth, cheers rose from bunkers, ruins, and command centers as news spread that the invaders were bleeding badly. Yet humanity was not finished. The counterstrike was only the beginning. Now came the true wrath of Earth. For weeks, secret facilities had prepared weapons that no one outside a few leaders even knew existed. Some were dangerous experiments in energy, others massive machines built in silence, but all were designed for one purpose: to destroy an enemy stronger than any human army had ever faced. In the deserts of Nevada, the ground split apart as a massive platform rose, revealing a Titan-class warship, a behemoth of steel and fire that had never seen the light of day. It had been humanity's greatest gamble, a weapon built in secret after decades of planning, powered by reactors that bent the laws of physics. Its name was the Deliverer, and its first mission was not defense but vengeance. As the alien fleet regrouped above North America, the Titan launched, its engines shaking the Earth, its massive frame tearing through the sky. Alien sensors immediately locked onto it, firing beams of energy strong enough to cut mountains in half. But the Deliverer's shields, powered by experimental dark matter fields, held strong. Its cannons roared with a sound that shattered windows for miles, and its first volley destroyed 3 alien warships instantly. Humanity had unleashed its monster, and the galaxy would never forget it. In Europe, rail cannons fired again and again, ripping through alien carriers trying to regroup. In Asia, swarms of drones filled the sky, overwhelming alien machines with sheer numbers and courage. In Africa, soldiers rode armored vehicles through burning cities, cutting down invader troops in brutal street battles. Everywhere, humanity was no longer fighting to survive. They were fighting to win. Alien commanders grew desperate. Their pride had told them Earth would be an easy conquest, but now their fleets were being broken apart. They ordered orbital bombardments, raining fire across the planet, but even that could not stop the rage of humanity. Every strike that killed civilians, every attack that turned cities to ash, only fueled Earth's fury. From bunkers deep underground, leaders sent a single message across every channel that still worked: we do not surrender. We fight until the last. That message echoed in every soldier's heart, in every child hiding in the dark, in every mother and father who refused to bow. Humanity's wrath was not only in weapons but in spirit, and that spirit now burned brighter than the alien fires. The Deliverer carved through the skies, its cannons firing blasts of dark matter energy that split alien ships apart. Entire squadrons of enemy fighters were wiped out in seconds. On the ground, experimental mechs, giant armored suits piloted by soldiers, marched into battle, firing weapons that cracked alien armor open like eggshells. Humanity was unleashing everything, and the invaders could not hold. In orbit, alien commanders watched their fleets collapse. Their technology was still superior, but it no longer mattered. Humanity fought with something the invaders could not understand: rage born of survival, wrath born of loss, a will that no weapon could break. For every city destroyed, 100 humans swore revenge. For every soldier killed, 10 more rose. The war was no longer about conquest. It was about annihilation, and the aliens were beginning to realize they were the prey now. Across Earth, the skies were filled with fire, the ground shook with explosions, and oceans boiled with war. But through it all, one truth became clear. Humanity's wrath was unstoppable. The Deliverer fired one final volley, tearing apart the largest alien carrier above North America. As its wreckage fell in flames, people across the world raised their fists to the sky, shouting not in fear but in triumph. The invaders had come to break Earth, but instead they had awakened something far worse. Humanity was no longer fighting for survival. Humanity was fighting for vengeance, and their wrath would echo across the galaxy. The war that had begun with terror ended with silence. The alien fleet that once darkened the skies now floated in ruins, broken ships burning as they fell into Earth's oceans and mountains. The air was filled with smoke and ash, cities lay in ruins, and millions of lives had been lost. Yet despite the destruction, humanity stood tall. The invaders had come with arrogance, believing Earth would fall in a single strike, but instead they had faced resistance beyond anything in their history. Humanity's wrath had torn them apart, and the survivors fled into the darkness of space, carrying with them a story that would echo across the stars. On Earth, the people crawled out of bunkers, shelters, and ruins to see a sky no longer filled with alien shadows but with sunlight breaking through the smoke. Across every continent, cheers rose even through tears. The cost had been unimaginable, but Earth had survived. Soldiers stood among the wreckage of battlefields, weapons still in hand, staring up at the empty heavens. Many had lost everything: families, homes, entire cities, but none had surrendered. And now, for the first time, they felt the weight of victory. In underground bunkers, world leaders gathered again, their faces marked by exhaustion but also by something new: unity. Nations that once fought each other now looked at one another as allies. Borders no longer mattered. Humanity had been forced to stand together, and now that bond could not be broken. They spoke not only of rebuilding, but of what came next. For while Earth had survived, the galaxy had now seen the truth of humanity. Distant worlds, hidden civilizations, and ancient empires had watched in silence as the war unfolded. They had seen humanity bleed, but they had also seen humanity strike back with fury that shook the heavens. They had seen the Deliverer tear apart carriers, seen rail cannons shatter shields, seen ordinary humans fight with courage unmatched. And they had learned a lesson that would never be forgotten: Earth was not prey. Humanity was a predator waiting in silence, and anyone who dared to strike would pay the ultimate price. Among the alien survivors fleeing into space, whispers spread quickly. Messages were sent to their homeworlds, warnings etched with fear. "Do not touch Earth," they wrote. "Do not provoke the humans. They are not like us. They do not surrender. They do not break. They will fight until nothing remains, and they will destroy all who threaten them." For the first time in their history, the invaders who had crushed countless civilizations carried fear in their hearts. And that fear was humanity's greatest victory. On Earth, rebuilding began. Cities were cleared of wreckage, survivors searched for loved ones, and communities came together stronger than ever before. Scientists studied the alien remains, salvaging technology that would change the future forever. Humanity had entered the war as a planet divided, but it had emerged as something new, a united force ready to step into the galaxy. No longer would they hide in their small corner of space. Now, with the knowledge gained from both their own hidden projects and alien technology, they would rise. Children looked up at the stars not with fear, but with determination. Soldiers who had fought on the front lines swore that the fallen would never be forgotten. And leaders promised that Earth would never again be caught unprepared. From the ruins of war came a vow that echoed across the world: never again would humanity be seen as weak. Across the galaxy, in distant councils and empires, rulers gathered in fear. The humans had defeated a fleet that should have crushed them. They had survived attacks that would have erased other species. And they had unleashed weapons that bent the laws of nature itself. To fight humanity now would mean extinction, and every power in the stars knew it. Earth had sent no message, no declaration of power. Their message was written in the wreckage of alien ships and the silence of a fleet that had been destroyed. Humanity did not need to speak. Their actions spoke louder than words. The day the invaders attacked Earth would be remembered forever, not as the day humanity was conquered, but as the day humanity revealed its true nature. A species born in struggle, hardened by survival, and bound together by wrath. The galaxy would whisper about Earth in fear, and that fear would keep them safe. But deep inside humanity, there was no celebration without warning. They knew this was only the beginning. If one empire had come, others would follow. And when they did, they would find a world no longer unprepared. They would find a united Earth, armed with both its own inventions and stolen alien power. They would find a species ready not just to defend, but to conquer if threatened. Humanity had survived the first invasion, and now the galaxy would face a truth it had never faced before. The humans were awake, and they would never close their eyes again.